Hey John, what's today?
Video day.
Alright, Tuesday, Turn It Up Tuesday. We got another video for you. This one's going to be on how to find liability limits the correct way to make sure we tailor it to the insurer's needs. Last thing we want is a guy who's worth hundreds of thousands of dollars and we're slapping on $100,000 in liability. Obviously they're underinsured. So the best way and proper way to find it out, and another way to find money, is going through some of this. So what I do here is I'll write this out in front of me. I'm having this conversation, I'm jotting these notes down, but I put it into an order, so if I have to slide it across to him, he can see it. So I'll write his name, Joe. And I'll ask him, Joe, what do you do for work? And he's like, oh, I'm a sales manager, how reliable. Cool, what do you make there? I make $50,000 a year. Awesome. Now, as we know, Joe, you're going to be spending your money in a couple different ways. One's going to be your family, the other one's going to be your assets. As we look at your assets, we want to know what they are to make sure we're protecting all those assets liability-wise. So we'll break it down to your car. Here's one thing we're going to ask on your car. Do you own anything on them? If no, because we're trying to find the equity there. So you have a $20,000 car and you owe $10,000 equity. So we'll just put down he has $10,000 in equity on one car and he only owns one. We'll say, John, how many homes do you have? I have 2 homes. So I'm going to draw a little box around the first one and another box around that, so it kind of gives me an idea that he has 2 homes. I'm going to say, John, what's your first house? How much do you owe on it? What's our equity amount on it? So he says, hey, it's a $200,000 house. I still owe $100,000. So I know my equity is $100K. And I say, John, what about the other one? I owe the other one free and clear. It's a lake house out there near Camden, and it's probably worth around $100,000. So I'm going to put down another $100,000. So that's our equity we can go after. Next one, I'm going to go through your investments. Your investments, your retirement accounts, everything else you're doing, you're putting your money to grow. So we'll go through our CDs. A lot of older people put money in CDs that are now really doing well, or that did well for them. They have a huge chunk of CDs. Now the CD market is crap. So if we can find out if they have money in CDs, we can remove that money maybe to some of our annuities or some of our other better products. So we'll ask them. So we'll say, hey, John, do you have any money? This guy has no. He says no to CDs. But we find out he owns a couple other rental properties. So we find out, hey, John, you have $200,000 in rental properties. Realistic one we run across. Then we look at your 401ks and your retirements and your Roths, and you have another $200K in retirements. So now we know we're kind of where some of our money's sitting at, what we're doing, where we're at with it. A lot of times you'll start going through these investments and you'll find out people have quite a bit of money sitting in other areas. Last thing, they have little or not much, I'm going to ask them, what's in their savings account? Do you have a lot of money sitting in a savings account? Are you that dude running around with 50 grand sitting in your bank, no idea what to do with it? Find out, ask those questions. Next I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this income. I'm going to say, John, did you know that we can go after 25% of your income for the next 10 years before it even gets taxed? So your gross money, 25%, 10 years. So we can easily take that number, times it by 10, which will give us 500,000, and then take that number and times it by 25%, and we know that's going to be 125,000. That is our income right there that anyone in the state of Missouri can go after lawyer-wise. They can lawyer up, you injure someone, and this dude's only running around with $100,000 and he injures someone, we know immediately right there there's a $25,000 income gap that they could potentially go after. So that number can get bigger and bigger, especially if you get clients who are making more money. So we can take that 125,000, we're going to add all this up. So I know I have 2, 4, 6, I take my 610,000 from down here, plus my 125,000. So $735,000 is our liability exposure for this one guy. Those are realistic numbers. Now when we look at the house, one of our rules in the house, if you are a single family home, they can't take your home. The laws in Missouri says you can't be abandoned or kicked out of your home to pay off debts like this. But they can go after the equity. And that's real. So that's why we put the equity up there. Because that number they can go after. They can say, hey, you have to get the money back out of it and pay us off. Second home. By law, if they have more than one homes, they can make you sell that house to pay off those debts. Real life stuff. So we're going to make sure we add these numbers. Same thing. We don't want them to have to drain investments and other stuff to be able to pay off some other guy's medical bills. So we're going to add all that into it as well. Income. Guys, fact check me on this one. In the state of Missouri, it is one sheet of paper a lawyer has to fill back out to re-extend this number another decade. One sheet. All right, so that's another one too. Another factor we always want to think about as well. Are insured, for most people, make pay raises or is going to make more money over the years. So we know this number is going to go up over time as well. So if we have a $100,000 liability, if we're sitting on 100, 300, 100 for this guy, we know we are grossly underinsured for this individual. And we can break this out and explain it to him and show him. Realistically, we probably should be looking at writing an umbrella for this guy, or at least at a minimum $1 million of liability limits. Now, we found our liability limits, we write it on the policy, we write it on the home, we increase our premiums, we do really well. Another thing we want to come back into is some of our investment money. What are we doing with this money? What was our plan with it? What's our goal? Are you trying to retire? Are you trying to leave it as a death benefit? I found an insured who had over $350,000 in mutual funds. Her sole goal was to leave it as a beneficiary to when she passes on to her kids. All that money is going to get taxed. All right, we had her withdraw it, pay the fee, put it into a life policy. Now that person's going to get over $1 million tax-free. So those are those kind of conversations that get them started, you can find out. So easy, simple illustration. You can jot this down in front of you, find it out, and then go through it with the insured to find your liability limits. What's also nice about it is we can bring this over here and talk about their family. I'm going to try my family. Family. And that's a perfect segue into our life insurance. And we can keep rolling after that.